Good sound quality is probably the most important part of creating content. And it doesn't matter if you're an amateur or if you're a professional, if your audio sucks, generally people aren't coming back. And if you primarily use a mobile device like a phone to record your videos, or whether they're reels or straight video for YouTube, improving your audio is the definite next step to improving your content. And so today what we're going to do to hopefully solve that problem is look at this new wireless mic set that just got released by Hohem, especially for those of you who are recording your content on a mobile device. And what they are is a wireless mic set for your mobile device. And so what you get is you get 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. Now the concept of wireless mics is nothing new. Both Rode and DJI have 2 very popular mic sets that content creators use. But those are tailored to the wireless and DSLR professional type cameras. These are made specifically for those on mobile devices to improve their audio, and they do it in a way that is very painless. So if you've never heard of Hohem, they make products for people that create their content using mobile devices, specifically gimbals. And their gimbals are some of the top of the line out there using AI for tracking, and we've reviewed quite a few of them here on the channel. And I've been pretty impressed with their stuff. So when they asked me if I wanted to review their new wireless mic set coming out, I said send them on over. So first let's answer the question of why would somebody want to use a wireless mic set with a mobile phone. The first thing is it's going to give you clean and consistent audio, and you'll see how clean when we test this out later. And one of the most important parts about having clean and consistent audio is it makes editing and post a lot easier. See, the problem with recording straight to your phone or talking straight to your phone is as soon as I get closer or further away, that's going to make the audio louder or quieter inside of the video, which means you're doing a lot more cutting in post, raising and lowering volumes, and you risk your audio blowing out sounding like crap when it's finally output later. But if your mic is attached in the same distance as your mouth, you're not going to have that problem. And the last thing is you stop having distance restrictions. You can mount your phone on a tripod and go anywhere up to hundreds of feet away, and you're still going to get the same clean audio as if you're standing 2 feet from it. Now we're going to dive into these mic sets and what all comes with them here in a minute, but first let's jump to my iPhone using this mic set, and I'll just highlight some of the key points and features that these mics have. Alright, so I've got my phone mounted here on my tripod. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my receiver out first, and this is the lightning option. There's also a USB-C version of this. All I got to do is plug it into the charging port down here on the bottom. And you can see that when I do, these 2 lights turn on, letting me know that they've already connected to both transmitters. And when we look at the 2 transmitters, they're also not blinking, showing that they are as well are synced. Okay, so now I'm recording on my iPhone here using the transmitter. So what I'm going to do now is on the back, you see there's actually a magnet on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this magnet, I'm going to attach it right here to my shirt and just put it on the bottom like that. And you can even do this in reverse if you want to be a little more incognito. You can actually flip this around so the magnet's on the outside. And before we start recording, we want to remember that we hold these phones all the time when they're up against our greasy skin. So you want to make sure you use a microfiber cloth and clean the lens. That'll help make sure there's no extra blurring. And now I can tell you about the key features of this Hohem mic set. So first of all, as I mentioned, you can get 2 different receivers. They are designed to work with both the iPhone or the Android device. Basically, you get a lightning port option or you get a USB-C option. The receiver is not powered, so it does not work very well with things like DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, or really any other camera. Really think of these as being designed to work with your mobile phones. Now, because there is a USB-C port on the receiver, you can hook up external power to it and then connect a 3.5mm TRS cord to your camera. But in all the testing I did on that, I got a ton of static and white noise, so I wouldn't recommend it. You get a charging case capable of charging both transmitters twice. Hohem claims they have an operating time of 7.5 hours before needing to be charged, which is insane. They have a range of 488 feet line of sight and 65 feet free moving. So that means that if the receiver and the transmitter have a direct sight, there's nothing in between them, that you can go almost 500 feet. But if you're moving all around, maybe through the trees, you're walking around your house, think of about 65 feet. Now they are able to be used as a standalone recorder, which we will cover more on later. There is a slot for a up to 32 gig micro SD card. As you just saw, they come with a magnet, so you are not required to clip it to anything like your shirt collar. And as far as the price, they are changing all the time due to discounts and whatnot. So I'll put the price and link to them right below in the description, and you can go check it out. But I believe it's somewhere under 150 at the time. And before we switch back to my studio setup, let's test the #1 issue I've always had with wireless receivers, and that's white noise. White noise is that kind of weird, fuzzy, beeping, weird noises you hear in the background, because these wireless receivers are often very susceptible to interference. So listen for 3 seconds here and tell me if you hear any white noise and if it's acceptable. Now, if you did hear any kind of a noise, you were probably hearing my powered lights up above. They all have fans in them, but I think the audio sound is very reasonable. So next we're gonna take a look at what you get inside of the box. We're gonna take a look at what all the buttons are and what they do. And then we'll do some tests on the audio, checking how they work with things like lav mics. So first up, unboxing. So as I mentioned earlier, there are two different types that you can order. One is a USB-C connected receiver, and the other is a Lightning. Now inside of the box, you have this instruction pamphlet. You have the charging and carrying case for the transmitters. You have a USB-A to USB-C cord, as well as you get these two different windscreens. So on each of the transmitters, you have this full-size clip, which has the magnet on the back that we talked about earlier. So you have lots of ways to actually connect it to yourself. On the top, you have a 3.5mm TRS where you can hook up your lanyard mics. On this side, you have the power button that is also used as a shutter button, as well as mute. And down below, you have your mode button, which controls noise canceling and linking. On the bottom side of the transmitter, you have your USB-C port, as well as your slot for your up to 32 gigs micro SD card. So there's no internal storage here for audio, you need to have an SD card. And on either side of the USB port are the two charging connectors, because these can be charged outside of the case. Now on the receiver, you have your choice between the Lightning connection or the USB-C port. So if you have an iPhone or you have an Android, you want to make sure you get the right one. Now they do give you a USB-C port on one of the ends so that when you're connected to your phone, you can also have your phone charging. You get two channel indicators in the middle, followed by two buttons on either side for gain control. And on this side, you have a 3.5 monitoring port, so you can put on headphones and listen to the sound of your audio while it's being recorded. And when it comes to the windscreens, they have a really good design to where it just sort of slides right over and covers up the mic. You're not trying to deal with clicking them into place on the top like some of the competitors, and that's going to be really secure on there and easily removed. Now on the case, you have your battery level LEDs at the bottom, and when they're flashing, it's because they're charging the transmitters on the inside. The case is charged using a USB-C port. Both the transmitters and the receiver are held inside of the case using a magnet, and that magnet is sufficiently strong to hold them in even while upside down and shaking. And like I mentioned, while the transmitters are inside of the case, they're being charged, and it is said that they can be charged 2 different times on one charge of the case. And the case can charge up to full in 1.5 hours. Now the case is actually quite small. If you put it up next to my AirPod Pros, you can see that it's only about twice the size of an AirPod case, so it can easily fit inside of your pocket, or it won't take up much room at all inside of your bag. Oh, and the lid is also magnetic, which is really convenient considering you can hook this thing on your finger and carry it around, and you don't want to worry about that opening back up. I'll also mention that the cases are really well balanced with the weight at the bottom, so if you take the transmitters out or leave them in, the case is able to stand up on its own. So to use receivers are very simple. All you have to do is take it out of the case and plug it into the charge port of your phone. Within a few seconds, the receivers are connected and you're ready to go. I mean, like really ready to go that fast. All you have to do is put on the transmitter, hit record on your phone or using the power button, which is also the shutter button on the recorder, and you're recording. So let's say you're out here and you're recording like something like a nature vlog. So right now I have one of the mics clipped to my vest, and Devin's got one on his shirt because they give you 2 of them on his coat. And so I can talk to the camera, and it doesn't matter if I'm accidentally covering up the mic with my hand, and Devin can talk even though he's much further away, and the audio will sound pretty much the same. So say something, buddy. Make something up.
There's moss on the floor.
There's moss on the ground, I think they call it out here. Anyway, and so it just allows you to have some kind of like a walking shot without having to worry about the audio. So one thing that I'll point out right now is that I do not have the windscreen on because I forgot them at home. So if you can hear a little bit of wind noise there, it's just me moving. So whatever that sounds like. But if it was actually windy out here, it would be much worse. So you definitely want to bring a windscreen to prevent that kind of thing, especially if you're talking directly at the mic as well. If you do loud puffs of air, the windscreen will eliminate that big rush and avoid that spike in the audio. All right, so next up, we're going to do a bit of a range test on this. So they say these can go 488 feet. So Devin, he's going to run to the other side of this huge retention pond. It's probably 200 feet to the other side over there. And we're going to see. Hey, Devin, turn around and look at me. Okay, so when he turned around and looked at me, the mic reconnected. So as he was back to me, it disconnected because it lost the line of sight. Remember, it's only 65 feet for free movement, so you need direct line of sight to the transmitter. Okay, buddy, keep going. So already again, it's lost connection with it. We'll see if he can reconnect, even though he's that far away when he turns back to the receiver itself. Still not connected? All right, so he is not connected right now. So he that far away, he's losing connection. So let's try it again if he walks backwards from it, if he's able to keep the connection. All right, so this time we're gonna go with Devin walking backwards, keeping the direct line of sight to the receiver.
So he's probably right now 50 feet away from me. Keep going, bud. We're still looking good. Hey, say something. Say like we're outside getting some fresh air.
We may be outside getting fresh air.
Don't look down at the mic. Just talk straight like you're talking to me normally.
We're outside getting some fresh air.
Okay, keep walking backwards. So there's nothing in the line of sight right now. He's getting a pretty good, he's probably 100 feet, maybe a little more. Okay, you got good connection. Keep going. So now that's where he lost it before. So now it's going. So, and I will say too that as we were doing this test before, when he came back after he had lost it, it did not reconnect. Keep going. You're looking good.
Pasta.
And so I had to actually turn off the transmitter and then turn it back on again, and then it connected, no problem. Say, hello, my name is Devin. Say like a long sentence. Make something up.
Whatever Dad is saying, don't listen to him, don't subscribe to him, don't like to him, and don't turn on the notifications bell.
I can hear that. Okay, keep going. So he's probably a good 150, 200 feet away at this point. He's way out there. All right, say it again.
Don't subscribe, don't like, don't.
So the other neat thing about having your iPhone available with two different mics is you can actually sit with somebody, and we're about 10 feet from the camera right now from my iPhone, and we can have a conversation, and you know, we can both be heard without it being all cut out and all weird. So, you know, we could be having a conversation about anything. Devin, I'd like to sell you this new computer. Do you want it?
No.
But it's good.
But I want your channel. This is an audio mic you should buy.
You know, as I'm editing it here, it's the first time I'm listening to it. It actually sounds really good. As Devin and I are walking through the woods there, and I didn't even have a windscreen on. There was no sound of it. That noise canceling works extremely well. And to be honest, when I was playing this back and I had a different company's wireless mic on, my lights up above were picked up more in those other mics than they were on the Hohem. The Hohem's noise canceling kept it clear on my voice, which is actually really impressive. And when I was 2 feet from my iPhone and Devin was 200 feet from the iPhone, to the camera, it sounded like we were both at the exact same distance. There was no disruption. There was no feedback in the audio. It was very impressive. And I'll be honest with you, I'm having a hard time finding something I don't like about these. There's really only one downside to these that I can see someone might run into, and that is because the receiver is not powered. So if you're planning on going and using it with your Sony cameras or your Canon cameras, when you connect a receiver to a camera, there is no power coming from the camera. So the receiver needs to have its own battery, and of course this doesn't have that. But if your primary content is on your phone, maybe you're doing lots of reels or shorts or Instagram stories, and you have no intention of using some kind of professional video camera, these are gonna be what you need all day long. And you'll always be happy with the audio. Now, I've repeatedly said you can't use these with a mirrorless camera or a DSLR camera, but that isn't entirely true. There are two ways you can actually do this. One way I've tested and did not work for me, but Hohem claims that you can actually hook an external power source to the receiver and then connect it to the camera. I tried that going through multiple different ways, connecting it to their gimbal as well as powering it to my cameras. And I tried my Canon cameras and my Sony cameras, and I had so much feedback, it was unusable audio. But one way you could do it, and this is the way a lot of people record audio anyway, is you can get rid of the receiver altogether and just record it straight to the transmitter using the internal recording. And then as long as your camera can record audio straight to it, you can have your post-editing program sync up the audio in post, and then you can get it onto your camera. And this is actually not that big of a deal, and it's not hard to do. But if you're someone who likes to record directly to the camera, then in my opinion, these are not for you. So at the end of the day, if you're using your smartphone pretty much all of your content, if you create reels or shorts as your primary type of video and you use a smartphone to do that, and you're looking to step up your content and you're looking for a way to increase your audio, get more range, get more clarity, I think this is a really great option. But let me know what you think of this one down below in the comments. And of course, I'll put all the information and links to get this as well as any discounts down below in the description. Thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you on the next one.